Thank you for staying tuned. Egypt's economy grew 5.6% in the 2018-2019 fiscal year and is on the right track as it completes IMF-backed reforms. The budget deficit came in at 8.2% of GDP, which was slightly below an official forecast of 8.4%. Egypt is emerging from a 3-year economic reform program tied to a $12 billion loan from the International Monetary Fund. Egypt's primary surplus stood at 2% for the fiscal year, which ended in June, and also pointed to a recent drop in inflation as positive signs. Economic growth was up from 5.3% in 2017-2018 and in line with the government forecast. Egypt has been praised by international lenders for swift reforms implemented since 2016, though austerity measures and inflation have left many Egyptians struggling to get by. And Zambia's newly appointed finance minister is calling for implementation of austerity measures to rein in soaring debt and stabilize the economy. Zambian government Edgar Lungu abruptly fired Margaret Mankwatwe, his former finance minister, on Monday, appointing in her place the respected deputy head of the central bank, who said he might further delay a sales tax designed to rebalance its economy. The International Monetary Fund has repeatedly warned that Zambia's high debt and shrinking foreign exchange reserves leave its economy vulnerable. And Zimbabwe's public sector workers have rejected the government's latest pay offer as insufficient in the face of soaring consumer prices, raising the likelihood of unofficial strike action today. Official figures published on Monday showed annual inflation almost doubled to 175.56% in June, piling pressure on a population struggling with shortages and stirring memories of the economic chaos of a decade ago. Hope that the economy would quickly rebound under President Emerson Mnangagwa, who replaced the long-ruling Robert Mugabe after a November 2017 coup, has turned to frustration as the country struggles with shortages of dollars, fuel, and medicines. And Tanzania's acacia mining is seeking a stay of international arbitration proceedings, say, before a hearing is due to start and 2 days before a deadline for a buyout proposal by Barrick Gold Corporation. The gold miner has been fighting a bid by majority shareholder Barrick, which Acacia says undervalues it. The deadline for a firm bid from Barrick, which holds 63.9% of Acacia, is Friday. That deadline is just ahead of Monday's scheduled start of international arbitration proceedings against the Tanzanian government, with which Acacia has been locked in dispute over a $190 billion tax bill. Tanzanian allegations that Acacia has broken environmental regulations have ratcheted up the pressure on Acacia. Well, let's do a quick crossover now to the equities market for some update from my colleague there, Temple Ashaju. Hello, Temple. So bring us up to speed with market development at the moment.
Well, Chimezo, the market is really still not encouraging enough for investors to move in at this point because, as you probably know, the all-share index is down midday about 0.5%, and that tells you the level of negative sentiment that we're still seeing in the market because as of yesterday we had the 5th consecutive session of loss, in the markets to the tune of some 28,200 psychological line, in the market. That's what we saw yesterday, representing some kind of the level as we saw it last on the 23rd of May 2017. So the point is there's really no news, no catalyst, because these are the stuff that the market really reacts to. Unfortunately, there hasn't been any push so far in the market, and so investors have been, selling down to, move into the bonds market, the fixed income space specifically. However, prices have continued to decline, and there's been so much of depreciation, not so much of appreciation in recent times. I'll give you some examples Zenith Bank is a bank that we see usually in the region of 23 naira, 24 naira in the market as we speak. Zenith Bank is trending around 18 naira. You have the likes of Eternal PLC trending now at 3 naira 32 kobo. You have likes of Dangote Cement. Looks like it's really heading to its usual support level when the market goes really, really low, which is 160 naira. But right about now, it's still at 170 naira per share. So it's really not looking too good. We haven't seen anything in the macroeconomic space that will drive up performance in recent time. The only catalyst that investors are looking forward to right now is the Q2 H1 earnings that investors are really anticipating in the system, hoping that will drive up some performance. For a few companies that have released their earnings so far, like Cornwell, that also declared some 2 naira dividend and that's for the 2018 financial year. That's about another company, one of the few companies that we've been seeing activities around in recent time. Chimeze.
Okay, and of course, these companies that have announced their close periods, what would that mean for the earnings expectations?
Well, it will just help investors to brace up for the possible opportunity being expected. The likes of Cornwell, as I mentioned earlier, has actually announced its close period for the 2018 financial year. They are talking about the 2nd of June to the 2nd of August, actually, 2019. And of course, payment date for the dividend of 2 naira is 23rd of August. The AGM is to hold in Akwa Ibom. You've seen a whole lot of other companies, UAC also declaring the same thing, also notifying the stock exchange of its board members meeting coming up very soon this month. I think it's on the 20th or thereabout. A host of other companies have also done the same thing, announcing their meetings dates, the close periods. This helps investors to position themselves properly for the possible earnings that may come with these companies by the time their numbers are declared in the market. You have the likes of UAC that has now found itself back on the path of profitability, moving away from 700 million naira plus to 900 million naira plus. You know, that is a possible way of getting investors rewarded for their patience over the years and by way of some bonuses or something. So it will basically help investors to position themselves ahead for the news that is likely to come with the Q2 and H1 earnings of this company's Chimeze.
All right, thank you, Temple, for those updates. And finally, oil prices rose today after steep falls in the previous session, although U.S. crude trailed gains for international benchmark Brent following data showing U.S. crude inventories fell less than expected. West Texas Intermediate crude futures were up by 12 cents at $57.68, having fallen 3.3% on Tuesday. Brent crude futures were up 26 cents at $64.60. They ended down 3.2% in the previous session. And that's it on the program. Thank you for watching. I'm Chimeze Obi Iwagu.